Welcome. This is Mango the Goat. This is another men's liberation moment, and this is the IIP. IIP stands for Involuntary Immigrant Podcast. And you are welcome. I'm here to talk about one of the best shows that ever exist in America. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. One time for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I'm a philosopher, not an activist, so mentally I break shit down. And I just realized something, right? In the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, we always notice how Carlton Banks was a brother who embraced a lot of white culture. No one ever talks about how he was a great student, would probably grow up and make a major impact on the world, or even just how his parents came from nothing and made a life for him that kept him away from the negatives of our culture. We as an audience instead laughed at Carlton and thought he was not cool and corny as fuck. Now, Will was cool. He was cool as fuck. And this we know. But I want to show you something about our culture and how we fucked up. See, not a lot of black women wanted to fuck Carlton or had a crush on him. And even though his future was pretty much secured, many bitches had a crush on Will. Was it because he was a black kid that acts white? That's so lame in our culture, right? Wrong. It just shows you how our lower and middle class were taught to think of black men to keep the cycle going. See, they were taught subconsciously the best black male to date is the popular, cool, or how do you say, the hip one. Back in the day, they say he hip. But not the one that acts white. Think I'm lying. Watch this. Hillary Banks and Carlton Banks. Y'all know brother and sister. You never notice, but both of them have the same personality as far as adopting and mimicking white culture. See, Hillary was basically a black, white, blonde girl, but yet she was considered a baddie. Not a nerd, not a loser, not a sellout. We have this construct of what a cool black man is. And normally it's the things that don't build wealth, but instead it's chasing fun and looking like a certain role in the culture. But you see, for our women, dressing white, I'm doing quotation marks, and acting white with more quotation marks, and talking white with more quotation marks is okay. See, the reason behind this is because if a young black woman commits to a brother like Carlton, they are destined for greater wealth based on the statistics rather than the same young sister chasing Nino Brown. See, as far as Hillary acceptance goes, in the black male culture, the dating of a white woman seems to be almost as a trophy because the white woman in this society, we get our concept of beauty and elegance. For the black woman, it's strong. It's masculinity we sold for the black woman. Strong black woman. For the white woman, it's beauty and elegance. If you think I'm lying, why does weave and hair straightener still sell like hell? See, most women think they nigger hair is ugly as fuck. Most women think that nigger hair is like slave shit. It's ugly. It ain't slave-like. It's just our people was slaves. So you got a black, pretty, yellow bitch that talks and acts white, quotation marks, and she fine. That's like a golden ticket to a nigga trapped on the fence in society that tells him the blacker the uglier or the less valuable, whereas on the female side, Carlton is a scare tactic that says he's not a bad boy, he's not toxic, so he can't be fun. You know the song, girls just wanna have fun. But if Carlton don't get tired, and this is some real shit, take a real life Carlton. If he don't get tired of being lonely and rejected by black women in his early years and say fuck it and just go marry a sunducker or an Asian woman or a Hispanic, just maybe in her 30s, the cool black girl will be tired of cool guys and toxic guys and give him a chance. Unfair to poor Carlton, you see, because the best years of that pussy have been used up by the dope boys like a Chevy Caprice in the South. So you can't give him all of you anymore, just what a bitch got left. But if he waited this long for you, maybe he's simp enough to appreciate it. When I heard them two niggas, and this is what kind of curved in with this, when I heard them two niggas a couple weeks ago from the burbs talking about how black women don't choose them because they not thug enough. That's them niggas' opinions, whatever. But I want you to notice the flip side of that. Notice how the majority of the women who responded offensively and stated that's not true, they don't want thugs. Notice how all of them bitches that spoke up and was very vocal against what them brothers was saying, notice how all of them are 35 and plus. And think about what I said. And to any one of them, ask, before 30, how much attention did you give to the toxic nigga, the thug, the rapper, the ball player, but did not get a ring? You just got fucked. I never been a nerd, but as a street dude, I hit plenty of y'all hoes who had nerds crushing on y'all. So I know exactly what the fuck I'm speaking on. Now, although that you 30 plus, you're wiser. You might have more wealth. All you can offer that good man in your life now is not all of you anymore. Bitch, it's what you got left. And my intention here is not to offend you, bitch. It's to motivate you, to help these young sisters see the future of our people depends on them offering they love and pussy to a black nerd. Then watch just watch this. Becoming a black nerd will become the new trend when there's benefits like pussy in it. Like, imagine this. If Beyonce, instead of marrying Hove, gave that pussy to Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's all I'm saying. Thank y'all for listening. We have another mental liberation moment. The opposite of evolution is devolution. A subject evolves from a point A to point D based on survival or progressing on needs of subject environment. Well, suppose this. Suppose the environment reverts back to point A status. To best be fitted for that environment, does the subject need to also adapt by reverting to its point A stage? Or risk it for the biscuits by evolving to point E and see if that's adaptable? See, another question is, if the subject chooses to revert back to point A, is that evolution or is it devolution? Even though point D was more complex, if it was not complex enough to handle the change back to point A, was it really that complex after all? Or was it just a newfound adaptability? See, a lot of time we gain wisdom by evolution, way of survival, painful lessons, witnessing things with others that they go through. And sometimes we lose our foundation based on this new adaptation of life we have. Just as we do not know how to endure like our ancestors, we only know how to endure the now. But sometimes, while soul searching, we say, hey, let me take a step back. Yeah, I heard people say that. Let me take a step back. Is that really taking a step back? Devolution? Or is it really just another evolution taking place? Hey, Manglos, I just want to take a quick moment to remind y'all, if you're having trouble finding me on any kind of platform, fuck it. You know there's always the website, voluntaryimmigrants.com. Go to it. Check it out. You can find everything you love from this platform there. And you know what? I own it. It's 100% Mangaloid. You're welcome. Back to the show.
Involuntary. Done contrary to or without choice. Immigrant. Definition 1. A person who immigrates. Definition 2. A plant or animal that becomes established where it was previously unknown.
If you believe the body is just a vessel and the soul is what drives, you tend to be anti-prejudice. If you believe the body comes by way of the spirit, you may tend to be more prejudiced. And I'll explain why. See, judging people solely on their actions and not their imagery is very difficult because we see people before we know them a majority of the time. And in a lot of cases, people have traits that remind you of some characteristic or character, whether negative or positive. It's like if you're at the ATM and a big old nigga walk up behind you frantically at 2 o'clock in the morning, you'll feel more threatened than if that same person was a 90-year-old white woman with a walker acting the same exact way. Or if you're in school and a group of gothic white kids walks in the wrong class with trench coats and makeup on versus a group of white blonde cheerleaders in uniform walking in with the same manner. These are all prejudgments. They're very hard to break as an adult that's not physically blind. If it hiss like a snake, moves like a snake, do you gotta get bit, motherfucker? On the other side of this argument, prejudgment can also ruin future beneficial relationships. Using your past with certain characteristics linked to an appearance to judge a new person who may have matching physical appearances and just assuming they share the same qualities as your previous person you knew, that shit is prejudging, and you could end up missing out. Like, here's an example, right? Just making this up. This girl who I knew, she had dimples, and her head was so fucking terrible. She used to scrape my ding-a-ling with her teeth. You meet a new woman with dimples, and she say, "Hey, what are you doing later? I want to suck your cock." And you're like, nah. You turn her down out of fear. See, come to find out, she's a throat goblin. And you missed the best dick-sucking experience you could have ever had in your life. See, my point is, be prejudiced with safety, but don't miss out on a great dick sucking.
Do you remember writing in your diary that freedom is the freedom to say 2 and 2 make 4?
Yes.
How many fingers am I holding up, Winston?
4.
And if the party says it is not 4 but 5, then how?
4.
180. How many? 190. How many fingers, Winston?
4. 5. 4. Anything you like. Only stop the pain. Stop.
Involuntary. Done contrary to or without choice. Involuntary. Immigrant. Done contrary
Definition
to
1.
or without choice.
Person who immigrates.
Involuntary.
Definition,
Done contrary
definition
to
1.
or without choice.
Person who comes
Done contrary to or without choice. Done contrary to or without choice. Done contrary to or without choice.
Definition 1. Immigrant. Definition 1. Unknown. Person who established. Unknown.
Stand down, finger.
Unknown. Established.
Trying to free your mind.
What white people have to do is try to find out in their own hearts why it was necessary to have a nigger in the first place. But if you think I'm a nigger, it means you need it. The question you gotta ask yourself, the white population of this country's gotta ask itself, North and South, because it's one country, and for a Negro, there is no difference between North and the South. There's just, a difference in the way they castrate you.
Who taught you to hate yourself?
Involuntary. Done contrary to or without choice.
Immigrant. Definition 1. A person who immigrates. Definition 2. A plant or animal that becomes established where it was previously unknown.